Hi boys and girls, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to discuss about the structure of a C program. Okay, from now onward, we want to write what? C programs. Okay, before we start writing these C programs, at least you should be clear with the structure of a C program. Remember, C programming language is nothing but a structure-oriented programming language. Whenever you are writing a C program, you are supposed to follow a certain structure. Okay, don't forget in the previous class, we discussed about different types of data types. Okay, what? We have int, we have float, we also have char. And this is going to use 4 bytes. This is going to use 4 bytes. And this is going to use 1 byte. Okay, 1 byte is nothing but 8 bits. 4 bytes is nothing but 32 bits. This 4 bytes is nothing but 32 bits. Okay, this is the thing. What will happen if you include type modifiers? For example, if you have short int is going to use how many bytes? 2 bytes. What is this? This is 16 bits. Here, if you have simple float, we are going to have 4 bytes, which is nothing but what? Which is nothing but 32 bits. Okay, we also have what we call long. Okay, we have what we call long double. Okay, this long double is going to make use of 10 bytes, which is nothing but 80 bits. Okay, but what about this double, simple double? Double is going to use 8 bytes. What is this 8 bytes? 8 bytes is nothing but what? 8 bytes into 8, this is nothing but 64 bytes. Okay, these are the things that we discussed in the previous class. The size which is going to be used by each and every integer, the size which is going to be used by each and every character. This is very important. At least you should understand this so that you know how to use memory. Now let's move on to the structure of the C program. I'm going to divide the C program into 4. The first part, we have what we call the documentation section. We have what we call the documentation section. In the documentation section, we are going to use what we call command lines. There are 2 types of command lines. We have what we call multi-line comments. Okay, multi-line comments. And we also have what we call single line comments. Okay, these are the 2 types of what? These are the 2 types of comments. This is very, very important. Okay, so what will happen if you comment statements in a C program? The compiler will ignore the what? The compiler will ignore the statements. In other words, the compiler is not going to print the what? The statements. If you comment statements, the commented statements are not going to be printed. The compiler is going to ignore all commented statements. Let's move on to the next part. In the documentation section, what are we going to provide? You can provide the name of the author, If you are the one who have written the program, you can provide your name. Okay, you can also provide the purpose of the program. For example, the program is finding sum of 2 numbers. Okay, you can provide the purpose of the program. What else? You can provide the what? You can provide the date on which the program was written. This is this documentation section is optional. This is not mandatory. If you want to write, you can write. If you don't like to write, you can please leave it. Okay, now I'm going to tell you how to use multi-line comments and how to use single line comments. Okay, let's say I'm writing this backslash now, this double slash here, and I'm going to write Dr. Sia. And here I'm going to write, what is this? The purpose of the program. Suppose it's sum of 2 numbers. Okay, what about date? I'm going to write 25/05/2025. Okay, if I touch this program, like if I open a project, my file now, after 20 years or 30 years now, what will happen? I'll easily recover now. I'm the one who have written this program. This program is finding the sum of 2 numbers. What else? I wrote this program on what? On 25 May 2025. Is this clear? Suppose I want to use the multi-line comments. So this is not going to be printed. Why? Because I have used the single line comments. These are what we call the single line comments. What about if I want to use the multi-line comments? It means you are supposed to remove this. So here you put hashtag, you put star. What will happen? These are what we call the multi-line comments. Okay. These are what we call the single line comments. So this is going to be ignored. Let's move on to the next part. We have what we call the global declaration. Global declaration, number 2. Okay, I'm sure you know what is declaration. We used to talk about declaration of a variable, declaration of a what? Of a function. Okay, wow. This is the global declaration section. Okay, so global declaration is done in the main function. This is done in the main function. So we are going to do global declaration in the what? In the main function. If you want to declare a variable globally, you are supposed to do it in the what? In the main function. Okay, you can also declare what? So we are going to declare variables, we are going to declare functions. What else? You can also declare what? Constants. You can declare all these things globally. Let's move on to number 3. We have what we call local. We have what we call the local declaration. Okay, we have what we call the local declaration. But I can say this is the local. This is part of the structure. The thing that I have here, I can say we have what we call the main function section. Okay, we have what we call the main function section. So whenever you are writing a C program, you should include the main function. This is a mandatory. This is a mandatory. The main function is a what? Is a mandatory. Whenever the compiler is checking the program, whenever the compiler is compiling the program, is executing the program, what will happen? It will always check for the preprocessor, what? Directives first. It will check for this first. After checking this, it will check for the main function. Okay, it is going to enter into the main function. What will happen? It will check or it will execute all the statements in the main function sequential. Okay, it will check the statements sequential. What is the meaning? It will visit one statement, the next statement, the next statement. Okay, so this is the main function. Then we have what we call local declaration. Here you can declare again a variable. Okay, you can declare a variable. We have what we call a locally declared variable. What is this? You are declaring a variable in a function which is in the main function. Okay, this is what we call local declaration. Let's move on to the next part. We also have the user-defined section, the user-defined function section. Okay, this is also optional. This is also optional. This is not a mandatory. Okay, the thing is this: you can declare your own functions. Suppose you want to you can make a calculator now using different types of function. The other function is going to perform addition. The other function is going to perform what? Subtraction. The other one is going to perform multiplication. The other one is going to perform maybe its exponentiation. Okay, different functions you can define. This is the user-defined function section, which is what? Which is optional. So this is all about the structure of a C program. This is how we are going to write a C program. This is a 1-mark question. This is a 1-mark question. A C program should have at least one function. If I'm saying it should have at least one function, it means what? One or more functions. A C program should have one or more functions. If there is one function, it means this function is the main function. Okay, if there are two functions, okay, it means one of these two is the what? Is the main. And the other one, it can be user defined. It can be user defined. The thing is this: a C program should have at least one function. If you have one function, it means that function is a main function. If you have two functions, it means one of these two functions is a what? Is a main function, and the other one, it can be a user defined function. This is over. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next class. Please don't forget to share, like, and comment my videos.